The Bible says, "Fill your hungry soul with what's good." When we eat, we share, we grow. Every meal is a chance to be fed and to feed someone else. Life is like cooking. When it works, it doesn't matter if the process is fancy or simple. Good food and a life well lived comes down to how much heart you put in. We're headed into the month of February, and culturally that is the month of love. We have Valentine's Day, and it's right in the middle of the month, and so everybody, all the stores have all this stuff in it, and everybody's thinking about love, or maybe they're thinking things kind of negatively, like maybe this is just a Hallmark holiday and I don't really participate in that. But I want to challenge you to think about love in kind of a different way. And so for the next 4 weeks, we're going to be talking about love, but different kinds of love. And today, we're going to be talking about the love that you experience in your family. Family isn't just about who you're related to. Around here, we call that family of choice. There are some of our friends that are closer to us and a part of our family, more so than somebody that we're quote unquote blood related to. And I think the idea of family and the love in a family has to do with the idea of that common space, the thing that everybody in your family serves. Are you serving something bigger than yourself within your family? Are you a family that does volunteer work together? Are you a family that makes it a point to sit down to every meal together? And make sure that your family is thinking about something that is bigger than all of you, but at the same time, leaving room for everybody's individual expression of that, of how they serve, of how they do that. And I think that's really important because you have to leave room for people to learn and to grow and to express themselves. So the idea today as we make this breakfast scone is find your tribe, keep them close, and love them hard. So let's go ahead and start making these scones, and let's put together our dry ingredients first. This is our flour. And I love to use an all-purpose organic flour. To me, it just is better. And if it's unbleached, it's even better. Right before that, we're gonna throw in our baking powder. Sift that through. Add our salt and our sugar. And this is the base for any of your scones. And the beautiful thing about scones is that you can put anything you want into them. You can make them chocolate chip, you can put raisins in them, we don't like raisins around here so much, but you can do raisins in them, you can do ginger in them, caramel chips, mint chocolate chips, any kind that you want. I used to make scones when my youngest was in college. He would go off to college and I would make him a couple of times a week so that he would have something quick to grab. And it was always a fun time. And when I started making this recipe the other day and telling him that this is what I was gonna do, he was like, "Do you remember when I did that? That was really awesome." So now that we have our dried ingredients together, we're gonna set that aside and we're gonna start our wet ingredients. I'm gonna start with 2 eggs. And give them a bit of a whisk. To that, we add our heavy cream. Now, if you don't have a vanilla bean, you can use vanilla extract. And it would be about 2 to 2.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. But I really like using the vanilla bean because it gives those little specks and it just gives such an amazing flavor to this cherry vanilla scone. So what I like to do is I like to cut my vanilla bean in half like this and then cut it right down the middle, just like that. And you can spread it apart just like that. And you can kind of see all of that stuff in there. Make sure you have it all the way apart. And then take the back of your knife and start all the way from one side and scrape it out just like that. And then you can turn it around and get the other side too. Scrape that side all the way down. And what you're left with on the back of this knife is all of that, and that's the stuff that's going into our wet. It's kind of like a paste, so you want to make sure that you don't have that chunk of vanilla bean in there. So give it a pretty good whisk, and you can almost see that the little specks are coming out. You're gonna take 6 tablespoons, take a little bit off of the end of a stick of butter, and you're just gonna get your grater and start grating it. It's really fast, it's really easy. And the faster you can get scones into your mouth, the better off you are. So add the grated butter into your dry ingredients. Again, your hands are the best tools, especially if you're making any kind of biscuits, scones, pie crust, anything that has you mixing the butter into the flour. Hands are always the best. You just need to make sure that every piece of butter is separated within the flour. Now to this, we're gonna add our cherries next. So I like to use dried cherries, and one of the reasons I like to use dried cherries is because they hold their shape, but I like to quarter them. If they're whole, what happens is they will sink down to the bottom of the scone, and you'll have all of your fruit at the bottom. If you make them into little pieces, they're gonna be dispersed evenly throughout the scone, and that way, every time you take a bite, you're gonna get a piece of fruit, which is what we want ultimately. The second kind of cherry that I really like to use is a dark sweet cherry. And again, I quarter them for the exact same reason, so that they don't fall to the bottom. And then you want to make a little bit of a well in the center. And we're going to add our wet ingredients. So we want to mix this together, but just like your biscuit dough, we don't want to mix it for too long because we don't want tough scones. So what we're going to do is just mix until it's combined. Once you have it pretty much mixed together, you're going to get your hands in there once again. We're going to put it into an actual form. So we want to just make sure that it's binding all together. I'm gonna put a little bit of flour down, like you've seen me do a couple of times before in my videos. And we're gonna take our dough, put it right out there. Resist the temptation to bust out your rolling pin, because these are going to be so much nicer and tender if you just use your hands. So we're forming it into a circle. We want it the same size all the way around. And you can see we did a really good job of dispersing all of the cherries throughout, so these are going to be fantastic. When you get it into this shape, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can get a round cookie cutter and do that, but I like to do the traditional triangle scone, and the easiest way to do that is just to cut in half, cut in half again, and then cut those quarters one more time. So you end up with 8 scones. And they're all evenly sized. And then we're going to go ahead and put them on our tray. So we coat them with heavy whipping cream so that the sanding sugar will stick. And if you don't have sanding sugar, you can just use regular sugar that you've used before. It's fine. You want to put these in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. Thanks for watching. You can find the full recipe in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.